If you're watching this video, you're probably thinking about making a move to the Raleigh area or within the Raleigh area. And you're watching lots of videos and doing your research and you're hearing all the great things about living in Raleigh. Well, in today's video, I'm going to share some of the things that irk people, some of the things that people don't like about living in Raleigh. And at the end of this, you can make the decision on whether or not you feel like this could be a place for you. I'm Gretchen Coley, founder of the Coley Group, and I run the #1 Compass team in the Triangle. And for those of you who don't know what the Triangle means, it's Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill, and pretty much everything around there. And if this is your first time on this channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in Raleigh, North Carolina, then just hit that subscribe button below and tap the bell for notifications so that you can be the first to learn about the current real estate market and all of the coolest things to do in Raleigh. You know, there's so many great places to live in the Triangle, and Raleigh is just one of those. We get calls, texts, and emails every single day from people just like you who are thinking about moving into Raleigh or moving around Raleigh, and we love it. So whether you're looking at making a move in the next 12 days or 12 months, give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. Our team would love to help you make your transition in Raleigh super easy. So let's just dive right into the nitty-gritty of living in Raleigh, North Carolina. While Raleigh is an amazing city with so much to offer, there are definitely some downsides that you should know before making your move. So let's get started with 10 things that people dislike about Raleigh. First up, let's talk about road construction. Now, if you've been to Raleigh or been in Raleigh for any length of time, you know that it feels like there's always road work happening somewhere. Whether it's the never-ending projects on US 1 or the maze of orange barrels near the airport, navigating the construction zones can be a real headache. And while all of this construction may be a sign of growth and progress, it can definitely test your patience. Take it from me, I hate it, especially if you're trying to get somewhere in a hurry. Now, that being said, while I think our traffic is heavy, many of you coming from other urban markets think that our traffic is a breeze. So you have to take this one with a grain of salt. Next on our list is the driving habits of Raleigh residents. Now, I'm sure you've heard the saying, drive 8 or 80, and nowhere is more evident than here in Raleigh. You folks are creeping around below the speed limit, slowing everyone down, or you're completely zooming past everyone, cutting in and out of traffic and cutting people off. It is a real challenge to navigate the roads sometimes, especially when you encounter drivers who seem to have no urgency or tremendous urgency. And God forbid we have bad weather, rain, snow, or the threat of any of those things, and traffic becomes a nightmare. It's impossible to navigate the highways because there's wreck after wreck after wreck. Like, can we talk about not tailgating on the highways? In Raleigh, we like our tailgating in the parking lots of our football teams. Another thing that some people dislike about living in Raleigh is the nightlife. You know, Raleigh does have some really great spots to hang out and have a really good time. But if you're someone who likes to party until the early hours of the morning, you might find yourself just a little bit disappointed. However, we are coming such a long way. Most restaurants in our area close around 10 p.m., which I know is a lot different for you New Yorkers who go to dinner at 10 p.m., and the bars and clubs shut down around 2 a.m. So if you're used to a 24/7 lifestyle like New York, you're going to find Raleigh's nightlife scene a little lacking. Now, the next piece of this that we have to talk about is Raleigh's restaurant scene. Now, it's come a long way in recent years, but people are still finding it lacking in a little bit of diversity, even though we've grown so much in 5 years. We don't have like a little Chinatown or a little Italy, so if you're craving that authentic cuisine, you might have a harder time finding it, especially when it comes to Mediterranean or Eastern European dishes. It's also a little tougher to find some of those South American favorites like Peruvian food, which I absolutely love in New York City, but hard to find here. Even though we've come so far, you can find most everything you need from a food standpoint, but you'll miss some of those little pieces. And next, let's talk about housing. This is a big topic with a lot of people, especially those of you who are looking for a home in Raleigh. With the city's booming economy and influx of tech companies, home prices have been on the rise, making it increasingly difficult for first-time buyers to afford a place of their own. Even though those of us who live here feel like it's escalated rapidly, and it has, Raleigh is still a very affordable place to buy a home, so I'm happy to give you any additional information on this. Now, let's talk about the weather. Raleigh definitely experiences 4 seasons, which is great from some people, but it can also be a little unpredictable at times, especially when we have all 4 seasons in one day or 1 week, which happens often. Summers can get hot and humid, and springtime brings with it a thick layer of pollen that covers everything in sight and will leave you sniffling. And let's not forget, hurricane season can be a little nerve-wracking, but overall our climate is really, really good. But if you don't like it hot, this is probably not your place. Point number 7 is all about wildlife encounters. Living in Raleigh means sharing your space with some interesting wildlife, and not all of it is welcome to all of us. Mosquitoes, ticks, cockroaches, you name it, we have it. And let's not forget about the deer that can pose a real danger on the roadways, especially at night. And then there are the snakes, and that is the biggest topic that I hear from people. You would be shocked at the people who move here and look at homes that will not buy anything that has a ditch in front of it, a pond behind it, or anything that has vegetation that makes things look snaky. Well, unfortunately, snakes are everywhere. Some of them are wonderful, like the black snake that eats copperheads, mice, keeps all of those bad things out of your yard. But most people who aren't familiar with them don't know the difference, and it can be a major concern for them when they're moving into this area. Number 8 is a lack of professional sports teams. So if you are a die-hard sports fan, you might find Raleigh's offerings a little bit lacking in this department. While we do have the Carolina Hurricanes, our one major pro sports team, you'll have to travel a few hours to catch a live NBA game or NFL game in Charlotte. But hey, at least we've got some incredible college sports teams for you to cheer on between Duke, NC State, and UNC. You are never going to be without a game to watch. And we've also got some great minor league baseball teams and soccer for your enjoyment. There's a lot to do around sports, just not in a professional setting. Another thing that people find that they dislike about Raleigh is the lack of neighborhood walkability. Unless you're downtown or in 5 Points or located near North Hills, there's not a lot of places that are walkable. So you don't just go buy a single family home somewhere in the Triangle and walk everywhere. And that's something that's a little harder to overcome for people who are coming from LA, San Francisco, Chicago, Boston, and New York, because you're used to that kind of lifestyle. In Raleigh, you really need a car unless you live really close to the centers I've mentioned, and those come with a price. Typically, people are going to pay more to live somewhere like a North Hills, where you have walkability to restaurants, entertainment, dining, shopping, everything. There's a premium that comes with that. And that leads me to the last thing that really bothers people about living in Raleigh, and that is a lack of public transportation. We have definitely been behind the curve on making sure that we've got great busing systems, great train and rail systems, and our state governments and local governments are working really hard to help improve those. But for the most part, it's very difficult to navigate the transit system. There's not a lot of it, and you're going to need a car to live in Raleigh. So for those of you that is a problem, it's really something that you need to factor in when you're thinking about making a move to Raleigh, because it is a little bit of a change of lifestyle. So in today's video, we've covered a lot of the reasons or things that my clients have brought up that they dislike about living in North Carolina. Now it's up to you to figure out if the pros outweigh the cons, and hopefully the answer is yes. Overall, Raleigh is a really incredible place to live. Most people who come here love it, but the pollen can be bad in the spring, the mosquitoes can be bad in the summer, and luckily, when it comes to sports and outdoor outdoors. We are so close to so many places, giving you access to pretty much anything you want, from professional sports to beaches to mountains and all of those. So we think that there are so many great places to live in the Triangle, and we get calls, texts, and emails every single day from people just like you who are looking to make a move. So I would love to hear from those of you who live in Raleigh in the comments. What do you dislike about living in Raleigh? What are some of the things that irk you and bug you? It would be super helpful for those of you who are watching the video. So whether or not you're looking to make a move in the next 12 days or 12 months, we are here to help. Just reach out via phone, text, email, or schedule a Zoom call with one of our agents, and we would be happy to help you get settled right here in Raleigh and make sure that we can eliminate some of the things that other people dislike. We'll see you in Raleigh.